an introduction to Excel. That's our task today, is to learn Excel. And as the textbook stated in its beginning paragraph here in introducing Excel, that every organization you're in, even families, even your own budget or your own notes, you can keep lots of information, and it's all about keeping them in a table format. I had a friend, a professor back at 3M Company. His name was Dave Hofelt. He kept all his notes in Excel spreadsheets, not Word documents, because he liked to organize things and organize them in columns and rows, and Excel makes you do that. Everything in Excel has to be in columns or rows. So you're always in a table. Of course, you can put links to Word documents in your table. You can put links to websites in your rows and columns. So basically, Excel is a way of saving data or using data, organizing it in tabular format. And just a little aside, when PCs first came out back in the 80s, they had what they call a killer app, the thing that PCs could do that everyone wanted it for. And guess what the killer app was? It was Lotus spreadsheets. Everyone realized, hey, I can do a ton of things with spreadsheets. That's what I need a computer for. That was the killer app. And Excel is basically a spreadsheet. It's much more feature-rich than the original Lotus 123, but that's what got people using computers way back in the 80s, and that's what made them so popular. And they just took off and became an everyday item in everybody's home because of spreadsheets originally. So let's get started with Excel. I'm going to remove it from my taskbar just to show how when I want it the first time, if I want it pinned to my taskbar, I can search for it down in the search bar and just type Excel. And then once I see it there, I can right click and pin it to my taskbar. So now it appears down here on my commonly used programs. And I don't think I need to care about verifying my accounts. Thank you very much. And now I can start Excel either by clicking enter or clicking on my taskbar. I'm going to click enter since it's there. And Excel pops up on my other screen, of course. I'll bring it over to this screen. Excel is ready to start a blank workbook. Just like many of the others application, you have templates of workbooks we'll take a look at later. But let's learn how to work with blank workbooks first, because we want to learn how to do things and not have something that is filled with lots of things that I don't understand how they did it and can get very confused. But this is a great way to learn, explore the templates. But today we're going to start with a blank workbook. I click on that and it pops up a blank workbook. It has not been saved to disk yet. I need to save it once I do some work on it. So we'll bring up Excel, and the first thing we're going to do is take a look at our ribbons. Just get familiar with what the ribbons are and the interface to Excel. Basically, Excel gives you rows and columns of data, and as I click on a cell, anything in the ribbon applies to the currently selected cell. To select a cell, just grab the big plus and click on any cell, and that becomes the selected cell. I can use my arrows and my tabs to move around up and down to my selected cells, or I can just click on one. Anytime a cell is clicked on, the format of the cell that's selected can be changed. So every cell remembers its own format. So my home ribbon is mainly about what the format of the selected cell is going to be. So let's just type something in here. Let's just type my name here in that cell. That cell happens to be E4. See how the insertion point, I'm going to roll the mouse, or control plus. I need to zoom in. Oh, I guess I can't zoom in while I am typing. I click once, the cell is selected. Click again. Click once, and click again. I guess I have to double click. Double click, and now I'm in the insertion point, entering data into my cell. If I click off of it or hit enter, now another cell gets selected. Let's come back and select that cell that has my name in it. And now let's just see what happens as I bold that cell all the text in it becomes bold. And I'll put my last name here so you see that that cell has not been affected. That cell is not bold. I can change the font color, and I can change the alignment of that cell without affecting any other cells around it, because the selected cell gets the format applied. I can apply a format even before I start typing anything. I can make it red and bold, and I won't know it's red and bold until I start to type something and I see, oh, the format of that was red and bold. So cells can be given formats even before they contain any information. When I click on a cell, selecting it, the information in that cell is displayed on the formula bar. This is the formula bar. I ignore that most of the time because I can just double click and edit what's in that cell right there. If I want to change it, I could also change what's on the formula bar and change that to my brother's name, Philip, with one L. And now the contents of that cell got changed because I changed the formula in that cell. So click a cell, start typing, hello. That will become the contents of that cell. To delete what's in a cell, I can just select it and hit delete, or start typing something different. Joe. If I start typing while it's selected, whatever it's in there will contain what I just typed. To delete what's there, I can select the cell and hit delete. If I want to delete multiple cells, I can select multiple cells by clicking and dragging through multiple cells and then hitting delete. Everything in those cells is deleted, but if they still remember their format, but I could decide, I want the color of those cells to have a different text color. I can change the color of the text even though there's nothing in there yet, and whenever I come to type again, it remembers the format I applied. So in Excel, formats of cells can be changed separate from the content of the cells. So just get used to browsing through. I can roll the mouse, zoom in on my cells, and anytime I want to type something, I can type A, hit enter, B. It can take text as I enter. Tab will go to the next column over. To clear everything, I can do a Control A, select everything, and delete. E4 still remembers that its format is red. Even though nothing's in it, it remembers the format of that cell. So navigating cells, clicking and then typing to change the contents of the cell. Any cell that's selected, I can apply a format to. Let's see other things on our home screen. These should be very familiar to you. It's just what I can do in Word. Here is a new formatting part that if I have numbers, let's just type in a few numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Suppose that I want to apply a numbering type format. There are special number formats listed here. One way to select all the numbers in a column, I could select just those cells by dragging through them. Or if I say anything in column C, I want to apply a number format, I can just click on this top of the column on the letter C. Now when I apply a formatting such as comma format, all my numbers, any number that ever gets typed, will have that format in it. So let's type another number here. 1, 2, 3 down here. Oh, it remembers that cell was bold, but the format of that number still is the comma format. Let's see what the percent format would be. 123 would also be the same as 123 100%, 12,300%. Mathematically, that number is still 123, but it is being shown as 123 is the same as 123 100%. If I want to change that back to $, we call it a counting format. It's almost the same as the comma format, but showing you the currency, the US currency sign to the left of that. I could change that number to accounting format. It doesn't change the boldness of it, but it changed how that number is formatted. Since Excel deals a lot with numbers, let's go change all the numbers in column C to only show us one decimal point in the number. I can adjust how many decimals get displayed from the number formatting. There's lots more we're going to do. You're going to learn to do something called conditional formatting, formatting something as a table, so apply some nice formatting in like a template style, and we'll apply other styles. But let's get going on a simple spreadsheet and learn as we go. So right now we've learned a little bit of selecting cells, clicking and selecting them, changing a format. I'm going to do a Control A, change all the format of everything to be not bold, and the text is already black, and we'll leave it aligned as is. I haven't messed with the alignment. If I ever am not sure what I want and have it completely reset, I can just say, let's just start a whole new spreadsheet inside this workbook by clicking on the little plus here. If I click on the little plus, I can start a whole new spreadsheet. It has the default settings, and I can come back here and delete this spreadsheet by right-click, delete. Deleting that sheet and all its information. If I want to have that name sheet number 1 again, I can double-click on the name there and change his name back to sheet 1. He's now my sheet 1. Well, let's think about what we want to do now for a practice project. In the textbook, they show how they want to plan out what they're going to do in a project. They would like a plan for a budget for a real estate company. And it's going to look eventually something like this. A spreadsheet with the months across the top, a nice title, and some estimated commission income, some estimated interest income, totaled, and then a listing of expenses month by month. Looks pretty complicated, but all we're going to worry about is doing it for January, and we're going to find there's an easy way to copy our work over to other months. We're also going to create a pie chart. We've done that already. So we're going to be using some of the numbers from our spreadsheet to create our pie chart of our expenses. And I'm hoping to use a better legend than this, which is hardly readable. So to plan it out, our plan is, they show a plan here. Here's our plan. Is just this general format. We're going to have a title and named columns and named rows, separating income section from our expenses section, and then having some totals down at the bottom. And they're showing the number format in accounting format for those various rows. Okay, so this is what we're going to have as our plan, and so let's get started on putting that together. So we've already got a workbook started. We played around a little bit with our windows, and we'll learn more as we enter data into our Excel spreadsheet. So let's get going on, first of all, entering our title of our spreadsheet. So at the very top, we're going to enter the title. This here is going to be our title. It's going to be eventually spread across the top of our chart. But let's enter the data first, and we'll come back and change the formatting. So let's go ahead at the start. Let's go ahead and put your name here. I'm going to put John Smart. And this is then Frangold. Put your name there. It's going to be the Frangold Real Estate Budget. Now this is the projected budget. And you see, as we start typing, it's this is data contained in cell A1. It overflows across multiple columns. If I click on B1, there's nothing in it. And that's just the way that Excel works. If I start typing something at B1, like the word hello, now the John Smart line that's in A1 kind of gets hidden because of content in B. If I delete the content of B, the content of A1 shows the entire contents of it. So as I click on these cells, I see in the formula bar, there's nothing in them. But if I come to cell A1, I see, oh, that's the formula contained in cell A1. Sometimes that is irritating that this overlaps. We're happy with it for our title. And we're going to put in here another subtitle. It's going to become monthly estimates. Monthly estimates for our budgets. And as I hit enter, Excel automatically goes down to the next row. If I ever had a misspelling, I can go back and double click on that cell and edit it just like any other text. I can change my insertion point. Entering or clicking down turns off the selection and edit. Now we're going to be putting in some column titles in row 3. This is going to be our income section. Actually, this is our row heading. And now these are going to become titles across the top of our chart. So I'm going to use the arrow key to go to the next cell. We're going to first name the income for January. And I can arrow over to the right because I want to go to February. Now I'm going to show you a lazy person's way to enter all the rest of the months. They introduce this later on, but I think it's good to know now that if I click on January and I click on this little selection, little copy handle, it's called the fill handle. If I grab that little lower right dot, see that little row, it's hard, you can hardly tell it's a dot there, but there's a little dot there. If I hover over it and my cursor changed to the plus, now I can click and drag that to the right, and Excel automatically recognizes that January is the start of a sequence of names, and I can take this all the way out to December and fill in with the correct spelling of all my months. Let me do that again. I select January. If I want to copy what's here, grab the fill handle, click, drag, and it will automatically fill in the months. If I go too far, it'll start with January again. So all the way out to column M, and now I've filled in my months. If you would rather type them in yourself, that's just fine. But Excel has this handy feature. Certain things, if I grab that fill handle and go down, it will also do the fill in my months. I can Control Z. No, I don't want to go down. I want to go across. So there's my column headings, all by just typing in January first. And I believe if I spell January wrong, it won't know what to do. Let's try January, spell it wrong here. If I spell it wrong and try the fill handle, it says, oh, I don't know what comes after it. I'm going to just keep duplicating what you typed. So if you spell it right, it will auto-fill, auto to the right. Okay, now we filled that all in, and we're going to copy this down to row 8. We're planning to have our expenses down here. So let's type expenses. And I want the same months listed. Now I could do the fill handle thing again, but I'm going to zoom out because I want to copy paste what I typed here to be here. To do that, I'm going to select through January to December by clicking and dragging through them with the wide plus symbol. Now I Control C copy or right click copy, and I get dotted lines around those cells. That means those cells are in my clipboard, and if I come down here and Control V or right click paste, I will paste that same data into these cells. Lots of possibilities on paste. We'll learn about our paste options. Right now, the standard Control V or right click paste, I'm pasting the values of what I had up there. Because these names are still in the clipboard, it still shows that dotted line. If I want the dotted line to go away, I just hit the escape button in the upper right on your keyboard. And now I have normal contents. I can always change what's in any cell by double clicking and editing it, but I'm happy with that. So I have column headings in both the expenses and income column. Some people might think, well, this is redundant. Why should I list it twice? That was their design choice. They wanted it listed twice, both in the expenses and income section. Now we're ready to start entering some numbers. Oh, and we remember that after December, we also want a total for the year in the column N. So let's put the word total there. And because I want it in both places, I'm going to do Control-C copy and select and Control-V paste. I could have just typed it twice, but just practicing my copy pasting from one cell to another. So total is going to be the year's total once I have some numbers in my data section. Now it's time to start entering our categories of income as a row heading. One of our incomes is going to be commission. And another type of income is going to be interest. And we have a couple more. We're going to have a total then, a total row for our income. And I'm going to arrow down, and now let's start listing the categories of expenses. It's going to be rent. Now I'm going to hit enter, and it will automatically go down a row and scroll my data up a little bit. Rent, utilities. If I ever misspell it, it doesn't do an automatic spell check until later on. It doesn't give you red squigglies, but later on you can do a review and spell check your entire spreadsheet. Advertising. Website. Printing. Office supplies. Gas. And miscellaneous. The dangerous miscellaneous category. And then we're also going to have a total row at the bottom. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here now so you can see what I have. So there's my spreadsheet. Row headings. As I zoom back in, I have to scroll back to the left to see all my row titles. Now it's time to put in some projected numbers for various categories. And I'm only going to worry about doing it for January. Now this commission is kind of overlapping in January. I would like that to not be overlapping by enlarging the width of column A. To change the width of column A, I simply click on the gray, and I can grab the little edge. Once I hover over the edge of that column, see how my cursor changes into a line with double arrow. Once I see that, I can click and drag the width of column A so it's not bumping up against column B. And I'm only going to worry about entering the information for January because I know the rest of the months I'm projecting the same numbers for the rest of the months. So I'm going to type in 12,000 and hit enter and type in 100. That's my projected interest for every month except I guess I do have some different numbers for the other months. So it looks like they're not all 12,000. I am projecting some different numbers. So I guess I'm not going to copy the commission because commission changes. I am going to copy interest though because I see interest is the same projection all the way to December. So I'm going to grab the fill handle, click over that fill handle, and drag it all the way over to December. I'm projecting the same interest for every month. But we do have different numbers for the projected commission for every month. So let's enter that. It is 12,000 we're projecting for February. Tabbing over, we're projecting 14,000 for March. I guess business picks up a little bit as summer comes. 16,000 for April. Oh, sorry, another 14,000 for April. May, we're projecting 16,000. Tab. June, we're projecting 18.5. July is our biggest month. We're projecting 20,000. August, back to 18.5. September, 18.5. Business is starting to cool off in October. And November, 14. And December picks up a little bit. So those are my projected numbers for my commission each month. So I'm expecting highest commission in July, same interest every month. Now I have some data entered. Now down for my utilities, I'm only going to worry about January, and because they're mostly the same all the way across. Let's go ahead and do that for January. We're projecting $1,500 for rent, and it looks like we're not projecting rent to go up through the year, so we will be copying that over. Utilities, we're projecting $325 every month. Advertising, $400. We're spending the same. We're planning to spend the same amount every month. Now the website, we're not paying except for the middle of the year, so I'm going to put 0 here. And just a little discussion about nothing or 0. If there's nothing in your cell, it's mathematically the same as though there were a 0 there. This will come in handy when you're actually doing calculations and you forget to enter something in a cell. It'll treat that as though it's mathematically 0. It won't say, oh, I can't add a blank cell. Keep that in mind as we do some totaling of things. The printing, we're expecting to spend $200 every month. And office supplies, they're not the same, but we'll enter $200 for January. Gas, $100. And miscellaneous, we're projecting $250 every month. Now we want to fill this all in for the rest of the months, but let me show you a trick. Since we have them filled in for January and they're about the same in every column except for a few rows, I can click and drag through all those cells, selecting them all, and now I can fill handle over by clicking on the fill handle and dragging that all the way out to December. That's as though I did a copy paste of those same numbers all the way out to December. So I fill in my data all the way out to December by first just filling in January. Now let's come back and correct a few things. The website isn't 0 the entire year. We pay our $500 in July for our website. So let's enter $500 in July. Remember, I can just click and start typing to replace that. Remember, if you double click, you can edit the numbers just like I could insert or delete an extra 0. So double click to edit, click once and start typing to replace it with what you type. So website we pay for in July. Let's see here, what else? The office supplies are not always 200. They're only 200 every 3 months. So I want to replace these with 0. Let me show you a trick. I'm going to do pick one of the zeros and Control-C copy. And I can come out and now select those two and Control-V paste. It will put a 0 there for those 2 months. Come over here, select, Control-V paste, and I'm replacing those with zeros. Control-V paste, make sure I got this right, yep. And November, December, I can replace those with 0. So I copy and I can paste into multiple cells. A little different than Word, where you paste your paragraph one time. Here, any cells that I have selected when I paste, they get filled in with what I had copied. So copy the 0 and paste. I could have deleted it, and mathematically it would have been the same as a 0, but my spreadsheet wouldn't have looked as nice to an accountant. They would have thought, oh, did you forget to enter a number there? And let's see what else. The other columns are the same projection all the way throughout the year. So let's zoom out and see what we have. We projected our expected income. We projected our expected expenses, our interest, and then expenses for January, copied across, made a few changes. Now we've done a lot of work, so let's save what we have and give it a name. Let's do a Control S now. And let's save that in our nice place. I'm going to go save it in my, I'm going to browse through my files. I do not want to save it to my OneDrive. I'm saving it to my local disk, into my special cs101 folder in my documents here, cs101, 2024 spring. And I'm going to save it in my homework folder. Oh, why is it thinking on my homework folder? And I'm going to save it as the name here. I'm going to give it the name EX1 JSmart. And go ahead and put your username in there for project EX1 in Excel. It's now been saved, and it has its name now displayed in the title. Now if I do a Control S, it will update the saved file. Now, any questions so far? It's fairly simple. As we browse through our cells, click on a cell to change or delete what's there. Any cell here, as I click on it, the formula bar shows what's in that cell. I most of the time ignore my formula bar. Now let's get Excel to do the work. The rest of the time here now, we're just letting Excel do our calculations for us, and we'll do some nice formatting of things to make a nice title. So let's calculate our total for the income. I'm going to do it a couple of different ways. I'm going to zoom in on this section up here, and then we'll see how it works for the rest. Let's focus here on January. I'm going to do the total one way, and then we'll do it a couple different ways just to see how total can work. If I want a total here, I want Excel to do some calculation. I can come up to the formula bar and start typing a formula, but let's just type in the equal sign is the key you want to use when you want Excel to do the work. Basically, when you type equal, you're saying, Excel, figure this out for me. Let's add what's in column B4 to what's in, cell B4 to what's in cell B5. Let's just figure that out mathematically. Well, Excel, here's what I tell Excel, tape what's in B5. I just type B5. Add it, using the plus symbol, add it to what's in B6. Or sorry, I meant B4 plus B5. B4, and see how it highlights the cell as I type B4? Add it with the plus, add it to what's in B5. I have told Excel to figure out, by doing its own calculation, add what you find in B4 to what's in B5, and display that result here. That's what that equal sign is telling us. I hit enter, and I have the calculation. Now let's do that a different way. Instead of typing B4, and this time it's going to be C4 and C5, let's type the equal sign. And now if I simply point and click to that cell, it puts its address in there for me. I do have to type the plus, and then I can type or click on the cell, and it will put the cell address. So in case I get it wrong, I can just point and click and it will fill in the address. Now this is a dangerous way to do it, because if I forget to hit enter and go click somewhere else, guess what it puts there? It replaced B5 or C5 with wherever I clicked. So you have to remember, when you're doing the point and click, once you're done with the formula, be sure to hit enter before clicking somewhere else, or it will put that cell's address in your formula, which you don't want. So now I'm done with the formula. Now I hit enter, and it's done the calculation for me. If I click on it, I can't tell if I typed it or if it did it for me. If I double click, it shows me the formula and the highlighted cells with the color coding to help me be sure I'm adding the right numbers together. Now that's the easy way. If I have just a couple cells to add up, just doing the equal B4 plus B5 is pretty nice. But in case I have lots of cells, here's another way I can do it. I can use equal, and I can type the word sum, and then a left parenthesis. This means use the formula that adds cells together and give it the range of cells by clicking and dragging through the entire range that is to be added together. I don't have to type the ending parenthesis, but I'm going to do it just for completion here. This is telling Excel, figure out the sum of that range of cells D4 to D5. And see how it's, instead of a plus there, there's a colon telling it a range. The cool thing about this colon format is the range could be a huge table of numbers that it can give me a sum of, because whatever is in between, or whatever the corner is of a large rectangle, can be indicated by the first one, colon D5. So if I wanted to add all these, I could put, give me the sum of all those. It would be D4 colon H5. And it could give a sum of that. So sum is a powerful way to add numbers up when there's a large number of them. The adding up two cells, I simply use the plus. But remember, each of those, oops, see what happens if I'm in the middle of editing, click somewhere else. If you do that by accident, hit the escape key and it will stop trying to follow your clicks. This shows me the sum formula. I like this simple formula, so I'm going to copy that, Control C, and instead of using the paste or the fill handle, I'm going to use the paste. I'm going to select through all of these, and I'm going to paste that formula I just copied. Control V, paste. And let's see what I just did. Here I had B4 plus B5. I came here to April, and I pasted it, but look what happened. It changed my B4 and B5 to E4 and E5. This got changed to an F4 plus F5. So Excel is doing something special here. When I copy this formula that was B4 plus B5, when I paste it in another cell, it remembers that I moved to a different column and changed my column to F, even though I had copied it from column B. Excel automatically recognizes you must want to add together the two numbers above you, because that is indeed what we want. We want to add May's numbers, not January's numbers. So that's a special thing called relative addressing. I copied a formula that was using B4 plus B5. When I pasted it here, it updated the columns to match the column I'm in. Relative addressing. So now we have the totals for each column, each month's expected projected interest. Let's go to the end of this. We want a total over here as well. We're going to do something a little different this time. I could say, give me the sum of all these numbers, but let's see that Excel can even do more for us. I'm in this rightmost column, and there's a special little Greek symbol up here at the right that lets me do the summation. Let's see what happens when I click on that. It automatically puts in summation of cells B4 all the way out to M4. It guesses that must be the set of numbers that I want to get of a total of. So we call this the auto sum. I see that it is the correct range. I can see it highlighted. Yes, indeed, those are the numbers I want to add up. I'm going to hit enter, and it will show me that total. I'm going to enlarge the width of that column just a bit so you can see that a little better. Enlarge that column a bit. Let's do that again here. I click here, click the sigma. It automatically sees numbers to my left that are all in a row and guesses those must be the numbers you want to add up. And yes, indeed they are. So I just hit enter, and it gives me the summation. Now, this cell, I should get the same numbers whether I sum those up or these. Let's see what auto sum it gives me when I click here. Look at that. It sees numbers above me that can be auto summed. If I don't want those numbers, I can come over here and just start selecting through the numbers I wanted it to auto sum to get it to auto sum those numbers. And the thing is, I'll get the same numbers either direction because of the way the sum works. If I double click on this, it'll show me what numbers are being added together using the sum formula. So that auto sum is pretty handy. Let's do that again just for practice. I came here. I'm just doing this for practice. You don't have to redo it. Remember what I did? I clicked here, said, "Oh yeah, give me the auto sum." It guessed by just looking for numbers nearby. Yep, those are the right numbers. I hit enter. Do it again, auto sum. Yep, give me those numbers added together. I'm checking to make sure we go all the way to B5. Hit enter. And I can do it again. Give me the sum. This time it looks above and says, "Oh, there's a couple numbers above me I could add together." And that'll give me the same sum just because I know how this is all working. So the key here is to let Excel do the work. Control S, save my work. And let's see if we can now get some summations of these. Let's do the bottom summation first. Let's get the total of our January. Let's see what happens when we do auto sum down here. I'm hoping that it will automatically see numbers up above that can be added together. Let's see what happens. I click sum here. It wants to sum B9 to B16. Yep, I see those are the right numbers that I want to add together. I hit enter. To see that I'm adding those numbers, I can double click. Yep, it's highlighting that range, B9 colon B16. Now I don't have to do it again. I'm gonna do it one more time, and then I'm gonna do the auto fill. Just for practice, I'm doing the auto sum, and I hit enter. See how much better this is than doing equals D9 plus D10. I could do that as a equal formula with multiple cells, but the auto sum is doing the work for me. Now I can even do less work by now clicking and grabbing the fill handle and dragging that out because it will auto sum each column as I go with the relative addressing, giving me the correct summation. You see how the sum has moved its reference as I've copied the formula. It has changed the relative addressing, adding up the numbers above. Let's do the total here now. I'm going to do the auto sum. It doesn't see any numbers above it because it has the word total, so it looks to the left and all the way out to back to column B. Yep, that's the correct summation. I hit enter. And now I'm going to fill handle that summation down, clicking and grabbing the fill handle and dragging it all the way down. And I'm going to drag it all the way down to my total row because as I add the totals, I will get the grand total calculated here. So auto sum is our friend, and we're going to learn about other functions that are in there for us, but the default when I click on the sigma, since that's the Greek letter S, gives us our summation. Now we've done a lot so far simply by first entering our projected numbers of each month, copied the same interest, we're projecting the same interest for all the months, did our summations, entered January, let it fill in the rest of my months, entered January's numbers, copied them across, and now we have totals. Let's save what we've done so far. We're going to add a few other things there to the bottom of our chart. So we've got our totals, we've got our summations, and we're pretty close to having our calculations done, but there's a very important number we want at the bottom. We want some numbers down here at the bottom. We would like down here in row 19 to have a net. The net profit for each month. This is a very important number. we're getting income, but we're spending some money. So what should our formula be for net? Well, our net is equal to, so I type the equal symbol, equal our income, that would be up there in B6, minus our expenses, which are there totaled in B17. I hit enter, and I have the calculated net for January. I can fill handle that over, select, grab the fill handle. Remember that it's not the wide plus, it's the narrow plus when I'm right over that fill handle. And I can grab that all the way out to, I think I can go all the way out to column N. And I have the net profit, the net grand total profit for the year, but the net profit every month. If I double click on that, I see that it has moved as I have copied it over. The total for that column minus the total income for that column minus the total expense for that column. Let's go ahead and save it here, and then when we come back, we'll be formatting the numbers nicely, because this is the correct numbers, but it looks horrible to an accountant. We want this to look nice with the correct number of decimals, and we're going to do a few other calculations. The max and min and average of our columns. All right, so save that. If you want to have a backup copy, you can upload the temporary, partially finished version up to Schoology just as a backup, or just save it to your drive. And have a wonderful day. This is being recorded as well. And I'll go back to that page as I end it.